So, folks, I was on the Lines Transatlantic Call-In Show. Yet again, I co-hosted with Alexander, taking calls about trans issues ranging from advice to spicy debate. Check it out.
Let's talk to Elle, who's been waiting for a while. Elle, they, them pronouns, calling from New York and wants to ask some questions about being excluded in the trans community. Elle, you are live on the line with Luxander and Riverboat Jack. How you doing?
Hi.
Hello.
How are you guys?
We're
Doing
doing
good
all
so
right.
far.
So I've been feeling like left out of the trans community from being non-binary, like getting called they fab, but I don't like fit the like they fab thing, the stereotype. And like there was like I saw like this video of a creator saying that non-binary people are quote unquote colonizing trans spaces, but I also should add this creator was white, so the word colonization here is doing a lot.
Yeah.
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 But I've been feeling like really bad.
Yeah. And I'm not super familiar with AFAB stereotypes as it relates to non-binary folks, but I can tell you that like if there are creators who are saying like non-binary folks are colonizing trans spaces, like that's just transphobia. Like it's just transphobia with being perpetuated within like the trans community. It's deeply unfortunate, but there's a certain group of people in the online trans spaces that feel the need to like build up their own validation by putting other people down. And trans medicalists or turfy trans women, like they exist, and it's deeply unfortunate. But just know that you are valid and you are accepted by the vast majority of trans people in the world. So like you're not alone.
Because I've been having like category 10 MTBs about like everything that's been going on in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like seeing that one video didn't help, but also like just the word colonization just like threw me for a fucking loop. I don't know if we can swear.
Oh, go for it.
um, I'm like, you as a white woman cannot be saying these words. um, it was a white trans woman specifically,
Yeah.
and um, like I am heavily body modded, and
Hmm.
that's how like I guess transitioned in a way. I
Hmm.
also did take HRT for a little bit, but I didn't like certain things that there it caused medical issues.
Yeah.
And and then also I had to get surgery, major surgery recently, and I had to take a lot of my body mods out, which has been causing a lot of dysphoria, and just been a
Hmm.
whole like shit show.
Yeah. And like having that come from a community that should have your back, having like that kind of let's call it what it is, bigotry coming from other members of the trans community, that hurts more, I think, than when it comes from places you'd more expect it to come from, like Republican lawmakers and stuff like that. um so I can understand how that cuts pretty deep.
Yeah, because I'm expecting it more from like someone like my dad, who's like the most like um independent voter. The median voter's mind is
Oh dear.
specimen. Um, but like it cut me real deep, and I remember that night was real bad for me. And also, have you been hearing the TME and the TMA
I hate
today?
it. It's so stupid. Like
I've
this
been
dichotomy, I want to explain for the chat
Yeah, I
who
have
may
no
not
idea
have
what
heard
this
of this
means.
before. So it's this concept that you are either affected by trans misogyny or you are exempt from trans misogyny. So TMA, TME, trans misogyny exempt, trans misogyny affected. And I think it's really stupid because I am not a trans woman and I was assigned female at birth. And yet my status as a trans person and as a femme means that I am targeted primarily by trans misogyny. Like, very rarely do people think like that they're gonna say, like, you'll never be a man. Like, they say things like, you're not a real woman and things. Like, so I am affected by trans misogyny more than any other specific intersection of trans like oppression or whatever. Um, so yeah, I think it's just a way of reducing the conversation all the way back down to your assigned sex at birth. Like, I think it fundamentally is just a way to avoid saying, well, this issue really, well, you're only allowed to talk about this issue if you were assigned male at birth. Because
Yeah.
if you were assigned female at birth, then you couldn't possibly be affected by trans misogyny. And I don't know if you were around, Jack. This reminds me of a couple of years back, there was some art that a non-binary person had made that went up in like a community building or something it was like a cartoonish representation of a trans person. And basically it triggered some people's ideas about like negative stereotypes about non-passing trans women, where
Mm.
it was like a person with stubble and very bright makeup. And lots of people we're taking that very personally, like, oh, this trans masculine artist made this art that's basically making fun of trans women. And it's like, no, that's what my trans masculine friends look like. They have stubble and they wear makeup and they have
Mhm.
flat chests and like hairy chests and things. And the idea that like trans women were so threatened by a representation of a non-binary person who is assigned female, like it puts us in conflict with one another in a way. Like, I fundamentally mistrust trans activists, and it's usually trans women who are doing this, who are like, trying to put us in opposition to one another and basically trying to position their oppression as more significant or more harmful or more worthy of discussion. So
Mhm.
yeah, I frankly think that it's a useless frame. I mean, it's a useful framework in that it tells me who I should not bother
Yeah.
to listen to, basically.
Yeah, I mean, like, if
uh,
somebody is relying on TME, TMA, like, they are telling you not to interact with them,
Yeah.
essentially. Like, they I like, just hearing about that for the first time right now, my initial reaction to that is just it seems like a way to, like you said, reduce the issue down to a cudgel that you can use to beat other people down and tell them they are not allowed to have an opinion on this. And like, the reality is trans misogyny affects everybody. It affects everybody. It's not limited to any one group. And if you think you're immune to it, like, that's probably a problem, you know?
I also think it's extremely essentialist.
Oh,
Like,
yes,
you're
absolutely.
reducing it like way down to like your assigned like sex, and like down to like maybe your chromosomes, quote unquote, if you test it. Um, like, and I've been trying to say that, and everybody's like, no, the trans men kill us, all this like garbage, and I'm like, remember the Epstein files where they were saying like they wanted to kill the trans men and they wanted to
Yep,
sexualize the trans women? Like, that was the entire plan,
yep.
but nobody gets that.
No, they
Like,
they
I
they
don't
don't.
understand.
I mean,
I,
like, a lot of people just want to, they want to make it into less of a personalized issue where it's just like we are naturally wrong for being trans or naturally wrong for being the wrong kind of trans. And like it's just a bullshit argument. It's a bullshit argument when cisgender people make it. It's a bullshit argument when trans people who are trying to be like better than other types of trans people make it. And like you are right to feel that that is bullshit.
And like, it just felt real bad. And like, I don't know, they be like they fab, like all that. Ugh.
That's a very
Like,
specifically
you know what?
derogatory term in my
Yeah.
experience. Like it's not like,
Yeah.
oh, it's not like something we invented to describe ourselves. It's very much like, well, you like, again, it's like it's bioessentialism. Like we don't take you seriously because you were assigned female, and we are not going to take any time to examine why we're doing the same thing. Everybody, like, yeah, trans women are, in this narrative, they're predatory and they're trying to insert themselves into women's spaces. Note the word insert as this, like,
Yeah.
reducing you down to your biological things. And then, like, by comparison, there's this irreversible damage thing about trans men and like, oh, our long lost lesbian daughters and oh, they don't know any better. And, we're just reducing people back down to trans women. We're pretending like they're men and we're going to talk about them like they're men. Trans men and anyone assigned female who is identifying as trans, like we're going to reduce them down to, treating them like women, little airheads who are hysterical and don't know any better. And oh, they'll just grow out of it. And all this internalized, oh, you're just dealing with internalized misogyny. That's why you don't want to identify as a woman. Like annoying bullshit that doesn't really serve any practical purpose. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what people are getting at. I think that people feel better than other people, or they want to feel better than other people. So it's like, well, I might be a trans woman who's been maligned by society and is having all these difficulties, but at least I'm not a they fab. Like, yeah, it's hierarchical in a way that's pretty annoying.
Yeah, and I think it's also an effort to be like, well, if I'm better than a different kind of trans person, then that means maybe on some level I'm safer
True.
than that other kind of trans person. And that's again just bullshit. It's just bigotry.
Yeah.
Like,
we're all in the boat together.
yeah.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, we should be like being in a big kind of coalition instead of like trying to segment each other.
Yeah. I hope that
just,
you
like-
have alternatives for community, because it sounds like did this happen in person with some, sorry, I stepped away to go to the restroom. But was it like you were in person with some people who were basically saying you're not allowed to be part of the group?
No, it was like, I was just watching a video and like, it was in the middle of the night and I was having a real bad night and kind of like having a, storm of issues. And like, that was during the whole like Trump, like truth socialing, all that like bullshit. So we were not, and I was going through problems with my parents. So like, Bessie was not doing okay.
Yeah. It's not a good mix.
So.
Well, so what I would say is like, I really, really encourage you to find some in-person community. You live in New York, so I feel like even if you live in like upstate New York where it's a little bit, you're not in the city, but like if it's a college group or a support group, like I was in a trans only support group that was like, technically it was therapy. But it was basically just like we were socially supporting each other, or find a queer improv group or something, because I think that, we get so tied up in these dynamics online, and it's really easy for people to talk a big game and denigrate others from behind a computer screen, versus like in practicality, in person, when folks are doing activism or when we're interacting, we don't do all this purity bullshit. You can't. If you're trying to work in coalition with people to accomplish anything, you're going to, like, if you're trying to help the homeless, you're going to encounter a homeless person who is using the N-word and the F slur, and you're gonna have to help that person anyway. You don't get to say like, well, you don't get to eat today because you're mentally
Yeah, because
unstable
you
and you're using racist
called you the
language.
N-word. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I think that a lot of this kind of defeatism that we can run into where we feel like, lack of acceptance and everything. I think, whether, and I'm broadcasting this message not just to you, Elle, but folks should make an effort to meet folks in person and get some, real world experience, volunteer even. Like there are queer youth organizations that you could volunteer at to help the young people and help influence the next generation and maybe help them see that this terminally online bullshit is not particularly helpful. Because yeah, in person, folks are generally going to be more accepting. And I just also want to say, I really love that you kind of mentioned earlier that your transition has partially been through non-standard body modification. Like I really appreciate that. And I think it's really fucking cool. I know of a woman who is like getting her entire body tattooed blue because she feels like dysphoric when she's
Ooh.
not blue. And I'm like, that's really cool.
That is so cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
because I'm in the alternative scene.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
yeah,
I'm not
I used
active in
to
it,
be
but I
like a
feel
tattoo
spiritually
artist.
aligned with you in that way.
Yeah. So I was a piercer and a tattoo artist, but I moved upstate because of certain things.
Mhm.
So that's what I used to do.
Yeah. But I'm sure that there's still some
And
amount
I
of community you
found,
could find and even if you
yeah,
only meet like one or two friends, like that amount of community is still going to be significantly impactful on your mental health.
Hell yeah.
yeah.
And
Well, did
also
you
I
Yeah, go
can
ahead.
I can just tell you from experience, like I've been there, the late night spiral.
Mhm.
Um I have just had to limit myself from watching content that could potentially like trigger me to go into a spiral in the late night hours. Like I will I specifically curate like a movie rather than scrolling through social media, or like a television show that I know is kind of like a comfort show or something like that, or a video game, even like something that I know is not going to cause me to have an existential spiral, because I know the last couple days especially, like
Yeah.
on my show I talk about the news, so like I woke up and I saw the
I
news about
am
Donald
a,
Trump on Truth
I'm in
Social.
the Discord.
Okay. Yeah, but like I was spiraling all that day. So like I'm right there
Yeah.
with you, and it is hard, but like you can maybe set up an environment for yourself where you aren't as prone to spiraling.
And Ember in the
Mm.
chat, who's a friend of the show, recommends that you check out CNY Pride and LGBT Syracuse. Those might be some groups that could help you connect to some resources locally.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, though. This was a great conversation, also to get the whole like TME bullshit talked out, because like I've been like thinking about that, and like I know it's bioessentialist, and I'm like I need. It's just like I need to fight it. I need to like talk about this.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you for bringing
totally.
it
I
up.
just hate it. I hate it.
Deservedly so, I think. Yeah. Well,
Mm.
thank you for calling, Elle. We really appreciate it, and we hope this has helped a little bit. Do you have any final comments you want to make before we move on to our next call?
Bioessentialism is bullshit. That's it.
Hell yeah.
Amazing. All right. Thank you, Elle, so much. Good luck out there. And if those resources help, let us know so that we can direct more people toward those resources.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
You too.
That was a call. Remember to like, leave a comment longer than 8 words, really helps with the algorithm, and subscribe. And also check out the live show every Thursday. Links all down below. And let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and Swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack. Riverboat